United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Dave is with us again this evening, and I would ask, please, if you would open us in a word of prayer.
Thank you. Father, we thank you for this beautiful time of year. We thank you for the sunshine and the rains that have made the earth productive again, and we pray for our farmers and those who are planting gardens, and that you'll again provide richly for the food that we need. We thank you for this area that we live in. We pray that you'll bless and protect Green Garden Township. We pray that you'll keep from it anything that is unhealthy or unsightly, anything, Lord, that would also be hard on the families that are here. We thank you, Lord, for Mother's Day and for the moms and grandmas that mean so much to so many of us. And Lord, for some of us, maybe we miss somebody who's now gone to be with you. And we pray, Father, that you will help us to always treasure in our hearts those who love us, and that we may love them in return. We thank you, Father, for those who are willing to serve this township in leadership capacities. And we pray that you will bless them tonight, and all who are here to participate in the meeting. Guide the discussions and the decisions made. May we be able to listen to each other well and explain well what's on our minds. And may the outcome, Lord, be pleasing to you and good for this part of your creation. We thank you, too, for the freedoms of our nation. And we pray, Lord, for special wisdom to guide our nation's leaders during a challenging time when we're involved in conflict. We pray that that can come to an end and that you will make things well again. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you very much. Okay, roll call, please, from our clerk.
Supervisor Christopoulos.
Here.
Trustee Dietz.
Here.
Trustee Olszewski. Here. Trustee Shepard.
Here.
Trustee Scrigo. Assessor Basham.
Here.
Road Commissioner Hilliard. Collector Michael Flanagan.
Here.
Clerk Kraft, present.
Thank you. First item on our agenda then would be a motion to approve minutes. The minutes have been sent to the trustees for their review from April 13th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by trustee Ralph. Do we have a second? Second by trustee Belinda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item is a motion to approve the township financial report. These have also been submitted to the trustees for their review. Do we have any questions regarding it, or I will entertain a motion to approve them as submitted?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Belinda to approve the township financial report. Do we have a second? Second by trustee West. Do we have any questions from the board? Yes, Belinda.
I did have a question for Jim, and he said he's going to be late.
Do you have a microphone?
I did have a question for Jim, but he's going to be late coming in today, so I'll just hold my question and talk to him at a later time. It's not a problem.
Are you prepared to vote?
Yes.
Okay, so motion's been made, it's been seconded. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Brings us to unfinished business, old business, important business. And the first on our agenda is from Mr. Jeff Becker, the Watershed Committee, and he will give about a 15-minute update on solar and what the next steps are. Thank you, Jeff.
So, just so everyone knows, we went for the U.S. solar project, and we didn't expect actually the good outcome that we had. The people that went, Gary Lincoln, Jim Miklowitz, the Eggers, there were a lot of people there, but when they were explained actually what was going on in the project, all the wetlands that were on the property, there were potentially waters on the U.S., and they were going to have to cross over those waters to get to the project. The 45, there is a 90-acre parcel now. There was 45 acres towards Stumple, 45 acres which was right next to Aaronwood. And so I think the board didn't really understand the ruling in the solar case, which was the Grundy case. And they believed that some of the members thought they just automatically had to approve every solar case that came before them. So when it was explained in cross-examination by my brother Steve, who's an attorney, we got a very different outcome. It was 6-0 against, which was shocking. So all the Democrats, all the Republicans voted no. And one of the biggest things they all said is there were 4 solar cases up, and we were the 4th one. Every other case, even the applicants didn't show up. There were no objectors, no one came. So if you don't think that your vote matters, it really, really does. And they actually said, the chair went ahead and said, Frankie Pretzel said, you know what, you people are here, you care, and that does mean something, and you're making objections. You brought in an attorney, and then they listened to all of those issues, and they realized this was a really bad project. And one of the issues that they're going to look into now, one of Sherry Newquist said, is actually, have we been doing this wrong all along? Where the wetlands and the water resources are not being listed on any of the parcels, and they're pushing everything to the building permit. So this was a really, really good hearing. The questions were good. They're looking at now even on the non-contiguous and the contiguous. The reason we have earthrise is because they allowed in solar cases to have non-contiguous parcels in one single application. And now the county is starting to realize that they're just getting ripped off, because then they only have to pay one fee. So a number of the Democrats and the Republicans said, hey, wait a minute here, are we giving freebies to some of these solar companies that no one else is getting? Maybe we need to change that, because we're losing out on all the fees, and yet our staff is having to spend enormous times, like on the Earthrise project, 96 properties. So there's 96 properties, and then they got one fee for the 96 properties. So we're seeing a lot of changes. It's coming both from the Democrats and the Republicans. So we're hoping that basically people are starting to figure out this isn't all what it was cracked up to be. And unfortunately, a lot of the earlier ones that went through, they didn't have an attorney, they didn't do cross-examination, and they didn't understand some of the other laws. So we'll see what happens, but I really encourage everyone, please go. So the cross-examination is tomorrow at 5:30. It's 214 North Ottawa in the Renaissance Center. Everyone that goes, it does make a massive difference. And then this will go to the Will County Board on May 21st. That's going to be at 302 North Chicago Street in Joliet. So if you do go on the different, if you go tomorrow, it's going to give you ideas if we're able to speak on the 21st. And we still don't know that. In between, it's going to the, so this is not the Earthrise case, it's going to the Executive Committee on May 14th. That again is 302 North Chicago Street at 10 a.m. So that makes it a lot more difficult for people that are working in the daytime. They can't go, and so we totally understand that. But any of these meetings, if you do show up, that matters enormously. All the people that came to the earlier meeting before the temporary restraining order was granted, there were so many people that a lot of people are realizing that, hey, this is a problem, and we just can't be, taking all this farmland. So, and I just want to mention that it was really, really positive, and it came actually both from the Democrats and the Republicans that said, yeah, some of these solar projects, there are problems, and maybe we better look a little deeper. But it really helps if you have someone like my brother who did cross-examination. Otherwise, they're just getting one view. They're just getting whatever the applicant says, and no one is opposing anything. So it should be interesting tomorrow. If you can be there, I absolutely would say, please, please come. It's going to be, essentially, it could be up to 3 hours. So that was what the judge allowed for the cross-examination. I think there's going to be there'll be 5 witnesses from Earthrise that my brother will be cross-examining. And then there'll be 3 witnesses Jim in the back here, Jim Nicolowitz, he will be there. Donna Robinson, so Green Garden resident, and then Melissa Eager. So those will be the three people that will be calling as witnesses on our side to give information and on the properties. So most of the information will be about people actually in Green Garden. There'll be one that's from someone in Wilton Center, but there'll be people that actually live here and how they're going to be affected. And so I think a lot of people find it much more interesting than you'd expect. And for Gary and wife, they went, and I think the cross-examination they found fascinating. So if you have the chance to go, please go. It matters. Are there any questions?
When is the next US Solar?
So we were just looking that up. We weren't told before if it was gonna be at the meeting with Pride of the Prairie, which is May 21st, so, Pride of the Prairie, right? May 21st, we're not sure if that's set because everything is messed up. For example, in these cases, you don't go before the executive committee. We're going before the executive committee on the 14th. It usually goes PZC, LUDC, Land Use Development Commission, and then it goes to the county board. But everything is messed up because we got the temporary restraining order granted. So things so they set it before the executive committee, which is a different committee. We don't know if we're gonna be allowed to speak there. I'll be calling on that, or we'll find out tomorrow night. We don't know why it's going to the executive committee because it's really not usually scheduled that way.
The Earthrise one is, or?
The Earthrise.
Okay.
So Earthrise, so usually what we think is because the PZC, that's where usually all the evidence goes in. So now we're going to go back to cross-examination. Then it goes to LUDC after they have reviewed the information from PZC. But we don't know if it's just a scheduling issue. They can't get the people in for that, and that's it. But they need to do it because there's a 30-day or a 45-day limit when they start the application when they're supposed to complete it. So we're not sure exactly why that is, but we're going before the executive committee. We don't know if we're going to be able to speak, and we don't even know yet with the county board if we're going to be able to speak ahead of that. So we will find that out. We'll find out everything probably tomorrow.
So there is no date for the next US Solar?
We don't know when it is, if it's gonna be on the we assumed it was gonna be on the 21st, but actually, Chrissy just looked it up and Lynn just looked it up, and it's not on the calendar yet. So we don't know if it's gonna be at the next county board meeting, and because, Earthrise is such a big project, there might be so many people there, that they decided just to keep the Earthrise.
Is there a time frame of how long they have to do it? I mean, like, with US Solar, I mean, could it be put on at the last minute on the 21st?
It could be, and it will know ahead, because I'll call and find out basically if it's gonna go forward, but, so we got 6-0, and mind you, it was 4-3 in the PZC, 4, and then it was 6-0 against. So we about fell out of our chairs actually when we got the active ruling, particularly from a couple board members, that we were very sure that they were gonna vote for it, and they voted all against it.
It was the same on the battery aspect of it.
They all voted, before they voted 5-2 against it, again, it was a 6-0. And so yeah, and the whole battery aspect, that's a whole different thing. That's something I think a lot of board members are very uncomfortable with, particularly in this one. It was so close to Aaronwood, and they did not like that, and I don't think they liked the answers, and frankly, this solar company was very ill prepared for cross-examination. We'll see what Earthrise is. They're a much bigger company. They're much more skilled, and so we'll just see how it goes. But I think everyone will find it very interesting. Any other questions?
Thank you. Any questions from the board members?
Chrissy just printed the May 14th agenda.
Okay.
And item 12 is the Lincoln Solar Energy, that's the only one I see. I don't
Okay.
see the other one on the 14th.
Okay. So, and Lincoln Solar Energy is Earthrise. And then I also just wanted to say the people that did speak did great. I mean, at this last one, it was fabulous. Dean did great. I mean, we really tried to have a little less speakers, but we put them kind of in a nice order, and they gave us time to speak, unlike at the PZC where we all had 5 minutes. So I think that's a good way going forward on these, is to go ahead, have the speakers, and try to speak about different things. and as each speaker goes, then you're not repeating the same issues over and over. So anyway, it went fabulous. I think everyone should be very, very happy, particularly around Barronwood.
I have one more thing.
Yeah.
You guys made a clear case of why the application isn't complete, but it doesn't seem like the Will County Board is accepting that.
So what they did is Sherry Lucas asked the state's attorney and said, I want you to write up a memo for us, a legal memo, stating whether or not these applications are incomplete and whether we've been doing it wrong. So the problem is, these are special uses, and in special use, you always have the option of not only cross-examination, which we originally denied, but you also have the option of going ahead and showing why this use is inappropriate for the location. So here it was two things really. It was the water resources, because they couldn't even determine if it was a wetland, they didn't put it on their maps, or if it was the waters of the US going all the way to the creek. So the Stoneville property is between three headwaters of three creeks: Prairie Creek, Hickory Creek, and Fork Creek. So they had waters that were going right through the property, and even Will South Cook Soil and Water said there was visible water going across the property. And then they were gonna come across the property, put a road through, probably what was either a wetland or waters of the US, so that they could get back to the 45 acres by Aaronwood. So I mean, a massive problem. So we have been alleging you have to identify the water resources, because how can anyone then complain about it if it's not even on the map to complain about? Is the watershed committee at every time, do we have to go and do all the research for it? No, the statute specifically says you have to have wetlands and floodplains on the preliminary site plan. Earthrise has some of them on there, but not all of them. US Solar had none of them. So in their preliminary site plan, they left areas where they knew there were wetlands, but they never indicated it was a wetland. And then the wetlands at the top of the property just weren't listed at all. So it was a complete violation, but you have to have the ability to show as a resident or surrounding adjoining landowner that there's something wrong with it. If you don't put the wetlands and you don't put the floodplains on the properties, how are you supposed to do that? So we've alleged that these are all being done improperly, and we'll see what the state's attorney does.
Because you were pointing out that they have to be done prior to the application.
Right.
But for someone, it doesn't seem like the Will County is understanding.
Will County Land Use has specifically told them it has to be done in the building permit. So they're getting a pass. So a number of the board members said, well, wait a minute here. If you're who's going to be watching that down the road? And they said, well, maybe a Will County engineer will look at it. And they're like, yeah, but we think maybe that's wrong. So we'll see what the state's attorney does now on that. So if they rule on that, anything that doesn't have that will be out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Didn't Soil and Water, I thought Soil and Water's job is to identify that.
So they don't actually identify that. What they identify is they go through the soil compositions, and if it's suitable or it's unsuitable. So for example, in Earth, it's a good question, Jane. In Earthrise, they said that all of the properties in Earthrise are unsuitable for the steel pilings. So they said that there's going to be a problem with that. And then Will South Cook, they've already come out and said basically that there are a lot of wetlands and water issues with just that project. So again, there are, I think Tom had looked at this earlier, my brother, there was I think he calculated about 87% of the properties that have water resources. I think there's clearly, there's probably like 6 or 7 streams in it. I know Jordan Stream is one of the other ones in the Earthrise. There are hundreds of wetlands going through all of the properties where they're going to build on. The floodplains are particularly outrageous. I mean, some of these properties have massive floodplains, and that's like one of our clients, Donna Robinson, Jim Miklowitz. They have a massive floodplain by his property. How are those going to be affected by all the steel going in? There's a massive amount of hydric soils, and that's the soil. So that's what Will South Cook is. They're saying, so they've said already that this is unsuitable for all these steel pilings, and of course, there's a very high LISA score. So the farmland score on the Earthrise project, so US Solar, the LISA score, so that's the land evaluation site assessment.
So you can't count on soil and water to necessarily
Right, to do it.
flag
Right.
those, okay, those
They'll
problems.
mention that they think it's maybe unsuitable, or there could be a problem here, but they actually don't go into the water resources. It's supposed to be the applicant who does that. That's a good question.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you
I
very
gotta
much.
go for the, gotta get my property.
Do you have the freedom for 30 seconds to give us an update on Brother Tom?
So he's doing okay, he's having a lot of problems with medications, so that he's, you know, it's hydrocodone. So it makes him like very dry mouthed and it's stopping his appetite, so we're looking at changing the medication.
It goes without saying, but let him know we all miss him very
Yes,
much
yes,
and are
yeah,
praying for
I
him.
will, yeah. We appreciate all the
Okay,
prayers.
thank you, John.
Yep.
Thank you.
What time tomorrow?
Tomorrow at 5:30. And it's at, 214, North Avalon.
Okay, great, thank you very much. Next item on our agenda for business is CB, our Town Hall renovation project update. Belinda, you want to give us an update on that?
We actually have reconstruction that will be starting in May, to renovate all of the projects on our list. And we have put in invoices to the county to get paid for TRIA, and that's basically all we have right now.
So we're still waiting on the permit,
Mhm.
and that's what's gonna trigger the actual start date. So it could end up in 1st of June, but we don't want that. We wanna start as quickly as we can. But, okay, thank you very much. And for anyone that wants to see the scope of work, I think we posted that, correct, on the website a while back, didn't we? Chrissy, on that? I can't remember. If we didn't, we'll put that on there. If you could please make a note, and I'll make a note, because I could email it to you. I thought we had the scope of work, but I'm not sure. 'Cause some people are interested to know that. I know I got a call from the Vedette newspaper, they asked me what the scope of work was, so I did send it to them. Okay, that's fine, we'll get it on there. All right, the next item of business is an update on our newsletter. And I meant to call, I know we had some volunteers, a couple volunteers for the newsletter. We've got a little bit of something that came our way with it that I'd like to share. I know Linda Owens, I know was gonna help with that. And, no, Linda? No.
I'm talking to Linda.
Oh, you're back there, Linda, okay. So I know you're on the cemetery committee, or you will be, or you'll be helping or something, but
Yes.
in any regard, here's what's happening with that. I've been in contact with Chris Russell, who does our website, and I sent you guys, the trustees, all this information so we could open it up for any questions. But nothing's been decided yet. I hope to have this on the agenda in a stronger way in June, because there is a need for a newsletter. So the initial thought was that we will have a biannual printed newsletter that gets mailed out to the residents of Green Garden Township biannually. So we're hoping as early as the summer, is maybe June or probably July, and then one again in the winter. But when I was talking to Chris Russell, he offered to be the front person for that, and for $299, he would put together a newsletter, an e-newsletter, that we would send out quarterly to anyone that subscribed. And there's some ideas on how we're gonna get the people's emails in order to send this out. Obviously, it's voluntary, so we'll promote it on Facebook, we'll promote subscribing to this on our website, and try to get as many people as interested to give their emails so that we could create an e-newsletter. So his job would be to contact the department heads of our township, and, for example, the assessor's office. He may call Jane and say, hey Jane, what would you like to see in the newsletter this coming, whenever, May or whatever, and that kind of thing. Mark with the planning commission. So I'll be working directly with him for any community service that we have going on. So he would be responsible to communicate to the officials that are involved in these things, put it together, organize it, put it together, give it to us for approval, and it would be $299 every time he did that. He would even work with us to help us get these emails. One of the questions, Belinda, I think you asked me was, well, we don't want to spend $299 for 6 emails, which is true, right? So there'll be a point where we go, okay, it's worth $299, we've got plenty of emails, let's get this going. So what he would do, though, on the biannual printed one, he would take those and an e-newsletter, and he'd create a printed one off of that. And then it would be our responsibility to get that printed and mailed out, similar to what we did for this solar type thing, where we would be responsible to hire a printer. Okay, so that's about where we're at with that, because we really want to start pushing that and putting that out to people so that everybody's informed. Any questions regarding? Oh, one other quick thing. Jim had a good suggestion, kind of related to this, for special events of the township, important events that are going on. Jim suggested maybe phone numbers, trying to get people's phone numbers and creating an automated voicemail. And again, that would have to be voluntary. I'm very familiar with that. I've used that in the past. It's about, at least it was 6-7 years ago, it was like 10 cents per phone call it cost, plus $30 a month to have an automated voicemail go out. But there's also text messages that you can send out. So that's a thought for anything that's really important that we may want to consider down the road here. Any other comments on that, Linda?
I had concerns not having everyone's email and putting, spending the
Can you
200.
grab that mic, please?
My concerns were not having everyone's email and being able to get as many emails as we needed to make it so that everybody got those. Not everyone opens their emails. There are a lot of people who don't open their emails, so I had concerns about that, or they won't check it for a while, or it goes into spam. The other thing is doing an 11 by 17, which I brought this for Dean just to show him, a one-page newsletter. This is what I got from Frankfurt Township. A one-page, newsletter would go to everybody, and we get those addresses free from the county or from wherever we can get them from. There would be pictures in there of maybe events that we had. We could put pictures in there, and gathering the information. That's what I was concerned about. So thank you.
Yes, and that's exactly what we're talking about with the print. It would be something just like that we would pursue that. As far as the volunteering, when people volunteer their email, I think they'll be ready. They'll be looking for it, number one, and then we'll encourage them to put us in their contacts so that it doesn't go to spam, that kind of thing. So
it might start small, with a small list of people. Once you start reposting that stuff on our website, and people go on our website, see, oh, they got a newsletter,
yeah,
they might eventually, that list will eventually.
Yeah.
So once you get started, it'll grow.
yeah, I agree. It's like
It's
our
not gonna
Facebook
happen.
page started with 10 people, and I think we're up to 325.
We're not gonna start off with a few thousand, we're just,
Yeah.
everyone can get the printed one though.
The whole spirit of this is the key is to be get involvement from the community and the residents to let them know what's happening and then to have feedback as well. anything else in the newsletter, we'll pursue that further next month. Yeah, we'll take a question, yeah. Sure.
I
Linda.
don't think the email's a good idea. I think it should come in mail. In my household, there are 7 adults. So if we get one piece of mail, we pass it around to other people.
Yeah.
If I get an email, I'm the only one that's gonna read it.
Okay, yeah, that's a good thought, and that's why we're gonna do both. We're gonna actually do both. The printed one, we're gonna do biannually right now. It might turn to quarterly. I doubt it'll turn monthly, but it'll probably turn quarterly at some point. And in a few minutes, we'll look at the proposed budget. We budgeted for that. So we will do a printed one. There's no question about
Thank you.
it. Yeah.
Send
Thank you.
2 to your house to hand out, to
That's fine.
pass it out to people.
I'll post it on my window for people driving by.
Can I just ask where the mailing list came from for the postcards? Because I did not receive one, and a lot of friends like me didn't receive them. So I am concerned that I know that there was, that I can tell you, about 15 people that I know didn't receive those. So
Okay.
the fact that I'm up here and I didn't get one, where was the mailing list derived from?
The last mailing list, we had to put it together quickly because of time sensitivity, but that came from our planning commission, if I remember right. They supplied that list from when you guys did the mailing for, the open house.
We got that from Will County.
Yeah, so we'll get it again from Will County this time, an updated one. It'll be everybody, it's not, it has nothing to do with politics. It has
No, I
nothing
didn't
to-
say that.
No, I know you didn't, I'm just saying, it's not like a Republican or a Democratic list, it's like a comprehensive list.
Okay.
And I thought the number was about right, 1,300 households, unique addresses.
Yeah,
Didn't somebody say that was about right?
yeah. Well, I'll tell you who else didn't get one.
Cool.
Me,
Oh, I thought you said 3,200.
So-
I didn't get one either.
And so that's why I asked.
I didn't
I wasn't
get one.
making it anything more.
No, I know you weren't, but I was surprised, I was sitting there waiting for it, and it never did show up at my house either.
Well, it's in the mail.
So, we'll figure that out, that's, I'm glad you brought it
So
up.
Chris Russell will take care of all the opt-outs, will manage everything.
He's gonna manage the whole thing for us, yeah.
And then.
If we vote it next month, if we bring it to a vote, I mean, we're gonna talk more about it.
Doesn't Jane have the best list though to use, or?
You have the best list, Jane?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I? I have a database.
Is it free?
No,
Not free?
depends on what you want.
Thanks, man.
For addresses and so forth, I can get you that.
Okay.
For emails, no.
Yeah, of course, yes. We can't get emails. All right, very good. So that's the update on the newsletter. That brings us to the new business. Reminder that anything that we do vote on, there's a time for public comment. We have listed 1 minute. Someone suggests a little bit more. Maybe we'll have a little leniency on that, depending on what's what. But in any regard, the town hall, the next item on the agenda is the town hall board meetings during the renovation. Chrissy Kraft, our great clerk, took charge of that and found a place for us to meet as a board. Thank you. While the renovation is starting. So starting next June, we can't meet in here because we're anticipating this will be under construction. So Chrissy spoke to the German American Heritage Center. Do you want to give any insight on this?
No, but we're here in July because June, because of the budget meeting.
Oh, that's right, that's right, okay. So, yeah, this starts in July, excuse me, not June. June, we're gonna be here. We had to post our tentative budget ordinance 30 days in advance, and so we're gonna have a meeting here in June. But we feel it's gonna be just fine, because they may not start in what he said when I talked to Reed Construction. Let's say they started back here with some construction, we could just rope off this whole area and just move a little bit that way, if we have to. Because we have it out there that, we posted it, published it, that will be here. So this would start in July. Do you want to give the details on it, Chrissy, or? Okay, so $200. It's $200 a month, and they do have Wi-Fi there for us. They have chairs, they have tables, and you know, everyone knows where it's at. It's just right kitty corner over here. So it's really a good location. I've been in there several times in the past years.
It's kind of open like this, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pretty similar.
yeah.
Nice
It's bigger
atmosphere.
than this. Yeah, it's a really nice atmosphere. Yes?
Did we consider the school?
No, they won't do it.
Yeah, we did, but no, they won't.
Okay.
We checked into that.
No,
Because it's
they're only gonna
closing.
be open for 2 months.
Yeah, it's
Only
closing,
coming
so-
us for 2 months.
Exactly. All right, so we'll announce that again in June. I'm sorry, we were trying to get it changed, but we just didn't have it secured by that time. Okay, any other questions regarding that? Okay, next item on the agenda, just kind of an update on the township phone number. We're aware that the township now has a phone number. To this point, it had my cell number on the website. It no longer has my cell phone. It's got the township phone number. It is, and if you want to, it won't take long at all. I'll play it for everybody.
What is the number?
The number is 815-270-5090.
On the agenda, do you want one? Do you have an agenda?
It is on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
I want-
Oh, you
Yeah.
wanted to say,
I want
for the
the-
record.
Oh, okay.
For everyone at home?
Yeah, for everyone at home. So it's 815-270-5090. And what it is, it's an automated system. I'll explain how it works. So when you call it, and you'll hear it in just a moment, it talks about if you'd like to reach the road district, press 1. If you would like to reach the assessor's office, press 2. If you would like to reach or speak to the township supervisor, press 3. Or I think it says, wait, hold on the line and you'll be connected to the township clerk. Doesn't give anybody's name, it just gives the offices. And so if they press 1, I haven't even mentioned this to you yet, Jim, if they press 1, it automatically goes to your office phone. And then if no one's there to answer it, it would be like someone called it direct, it'd go right to your voicemail. Same thing, Jane, with the assessor's office, it goes to your office phone. If they press 3 for my exchange, I don't have an office to bring it to, so it goes right to my cell phone. And on my phone, it'll say Green Garden Township, so I kind of know it's a Green Garden Township, not a personal phone line. And then it also goes to Chrissy's cell phone, because obviously we don't have an office phone. All right, so I'll go ahead and play it. I hope you like the voice.
Hey Dean, can you press 1? Because it should ring your microphone then.
Oh, is your phone for the,
The office is tied to my phone.
oh, okay. All right,
See if it works.
so let's do this.
See when we get projected money.
Yeah, let's see if it works.
Thank you for calling Green Garden Township. If you know your party's extension, please enter it now. For the road district, press 1. For the assessor's office, press 2. To speak to our township supervisor, press 3. Or press 0 to be connected to our township clerk.
Okay, so I'm pressing 1.
Please hold while we connect your call to extension 1.
Let's see what happens. It should go to your voicemail.
Good job.
I checked it with yours already. It did.
Thank you for calling. Please leave a message and your call
Oh,
will be
that's
returned
interesting.
as
I don't
soon as
know why it
possible.
Goes to his office.
Yeah, but I'll check on it. It should say you've reached road or whatever your voicemail is. Do you mind if I check yours, Jane, real quick?
Go ahead.
It's just got enacted not that long ago, so, but if someone left a message, it'll come up on the system.
Thank you for calling Green Garden
And Christy and I would be
If you
the,
know your party's extension, please enter it now. For the road district, press 1. For the assessor
No, I would ask permission to do that, and we don't have to do that. Should have answered by now.
Yep.
Thank you for contacting the Green Garden Township Assessor's Office. Please note
I'm
that
gonna leave a
all
message, you can
property
tell me.
owning information, such as square footage, is available online at willcountysoa.com. That's willcountysoa.com. If you're calling to speak to the assessor, please leave a message with your full name, address, or PIN number, and detailed information regarding your question or concern. Due to the large volume of inquiries and workload, calls will be returned in the order in which they are received. For quicker response, please email your questions or concerns to ggtownshiptaxes@gmail.com. Again, that's GG, the entire word township, the entire word taxes, @gmail.com. Have a great day. Leave your message at the tone. Press pound when finished.
Hi, Jane, thank you for keeping our taxes down. Please let me know you got this message.
Maybe.
We can only be positive. All right, so that's what it is. The cost on it, as you guys know, is, it changed a little bit based on taxes and stuff, but basically it's anywhere from $35 to $38 a month. And we did invest $75 for the professional voice.
They did it for 60.
But I can't tell you how many calls I've gotten over the past year with my cell phone on there, and then I have to give them Jane's number or Jim's number. Most of the calls actually come for Jane or Jim. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. I shouldn't say, Okay, any questions on that? And that is a budgeted line item, so we don't need to vote on that. All right, the next item on our agenda is the 2026-2027 proposed budget. We will be voting on this in June. We posted a 30-day notice. It's on our website, the public to take a look at it. But I would ask that the board, so pull out your copy, please. And I would like to look, first of all, at the road district budget and appropriation ordinance. Do you guys have a copy of that one? Or did you look at it, and do you have any questions for Jim on it? The road district, the road district. So we did look at your budget, Jim, and if there's any questions, I'll start by just asking the trustees if they have any specific questions regarding this budget. And again, it's not something we're able to vote on this month, but next month we are required to vote on it by the end of June. Any questions? Yeah, could you grab that mic, Linda, please?
I noticed here, Jim, on the dates, it says 25 to March of 2026. Is it 26, 27 that we're working
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. We could easily change that, yeah. But that's a good observation. I mean, it's amazing the detail that comes on these things. You just read right over them, so the date would be correct.
Do you need me to resubmit that?
If you would, just email it to me whenever.
Okay.
That would be great. Any questions regarding any line items or any budget amounts?
What is the
what is the percentage that you had, Jim? Last week you had mentioned that you got like a 4.97. Is that correct, or was it 5% you got?
I'm not sure what it is. I did add it up, it was under 5%, I don't know exactly what it was.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding that budget? If not, we'll move to the township budget. The township budget is going to look much larger than previous year. If I could just make a few comments first on it, and then we'll open it up. But just to note a couple things, the town hall grant reimbursement is on our revenue side. When speaking to our accountant, we want to make sure of two things. One is that on our budget is the grant, is the township town hall grant. So this is a way to log it properly. So it'll be on the revenue side, it'll be on the expense side. So right now, the revenue we expect for the grant income is $530,217. If you drop your eyes down to the last item under expenses, in that first contractual service category, it's town hall improvements grant $530,217. Because we said our goal and our commitment is we do not want to spend more than that. So this is a way that we will be able to, everyone would be able to see what has come in and what has gone out. So it's good for accountability as well. But that's why the budget is typically $500,000 more than it normally would be. That's why the numbers are quite large in comparison to what we're used to looking at. The property tax levy, we did levy 5%. We received that. So our property tax levy is $301,400, approximately $14,000 over last year. The levy last year was $287,139. This year it's $301,400. We went over these numbers already. And we received them. We have a population of right under 4,000 residents, homes right under 1,500 homes. So $14,000 increase. If you drop your eyes down to newsletter, almost at the bottom there, this year we have budgeted $9,000 for the newsletter, or we will be voting on this. This is the tentative one. $9,000, which would include printing as well as the e-letter. And we're thinking it's going to come in less than that we won't need $9,000, but we'll see how it goes. And then community service, we talked about putting $4,000 toward that, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Well, I guess we won't. It's on the agenda, though. One of the things that Belinda is sitting in for Trustee Monroe because of his illness. We're planning, and Belinda's in charge of organizing a veterans celebration. So the idea is that this project here should be completed by then, and then we'll kick it off with a celebration. We'll have it in a newsletter, and we'll be able to honor our veterans here in the new renovation. So between those two line items, that's $13,000 just on those two line items. And we've talked about this. We feel both are very important for our township. Let me just try to point out anything on this first page first. We did increase the payroll in accounting to $25,000. And we need every penny of that because we have an audit that we're responsible statutorily to provide to the state that costs approximately $10,000. So right out of the gate, we have to do that at the end of every year. And then our accounting invoices roughly are around $1,000. We are going to this year previous years, the road district paid their own accounting invoice, and so we're handling that as a township. Jim and I talked about that, and it's very common that the township pays for accounting for the road district as well. I checked with our attorney during a quick conversation as well. It's not a legal thing, but that's what most townships end up doing. So we're gonna pick up that, which his is less than ours. So that's the 25 there. The legal services, we kicked that up quite a bit because we were only received $5,000, was it last year? It was 5,000, I have it here. And now that's up to 25. We hope that we don't have to use that. But with a lot of things going on, we just don't know. So that we do have that budgeted. Now I will say this past month, it was 0, but it really wasn't. I think it was, I just got an invoice like minutes before I came here, and it was for this month. I thought we had 0, but we actually didn't. So we'll look at that next month and pay it. But it was like $350, which is the lowest legal we've had, and it had to do with FOIA requests. There's times that come up where we have to look into and get legal opinion regarding FOIA. All right, any other questions regarding that? The IT, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. The IT license and support last year was $11,000. It's down to $5,000, and we'll explain why on the next page. So that's quite a bit lower. And I think that's really it. That's about it as far as different ones. Any questions on that first page? Yes, please grab that microphone, Belinda.
There was one item that we had talked about last year, that road district loan payment of $30,000. That's something that we probably need to discuss beforehand. Make sure that if we're counting on that 30, that we leave it 30. If we're not counting on that 30, that we lower it when we discuss it. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about that, yes. See, this budget here, Jim already paid that, $30,000.
For the 25-26 was 30,000. Fairly certain for 26-27, the final payment is 40,000. So that should be in my budget.
Yeah. It is. So what we talked about was the township considering to release the road district from $30,000 or $40,000 of that loan that took place many years ago. Jim, how long was it before? About 10 years ago?
All right, so legally it's 10 years. That's all that the loan can be for. So that would be 9 years ago. And then I had the road grader for debt and the 3 trucks. But we can discuss other things too, because are you gonna have me do a road commissioner's report later?
Yeah.
Since I missed it, okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm ordering a new truck, so that might be a better way of working
Okay.
with you guys.
All
I'm
right.
just paying the debt off. All right, thanks.
All right. So you'll bring it up then, you're saying?
Yeah,
During
I'll
your
bring it
report?
up, yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts regarding that first page? And again, we'll have opportunity to discuss this throughout this month, as well as vote on the final one next month. All right, next page.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For the license and IT license and support,
Yes.
what is?
Make sure you got that microphone going there.
For the IT license and support, what is included under that? As far as, would we be able to include the outlook under that?
Well, there's $5,000, and what we're gonna see in a moment is that, to this point, the township under township, this is a township budget, so whether or not it's under the assessor's line items or different, these line items, the township still pays for it. But under our line items, last year, we paid for all IT license and support. We're gonna see in just a few minutes, when we look at the next page, that we're proposing that the assessor's office pay for the IT license and support for the assessors, for Jane's office. So because of that, this is why we went from 11,000 down to 5. So what will end up being in the IT license and support now will be, will be Chris, the website, which is
Software licenses that we have to pay.
the software licenses, and then you wanted to bring us from our Gmails to Outlook.
Which, that's all.
And how much is that roughly? And that's all, yeah, it's also.
We use
for
that
Chris.
at $200.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. So I'm thinking that 5,000 will be enough for all of that easily.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You know,
Yeah, I'm just making sure Chris gets accounted for there, or that he's not accounted for anywhere else.
Yeah, so Chris is, you know, kind of waiting on our word, or your word, really, because you're in charge of that, to talk to him about that, and then we would discuss it and vote on it. But, so we'll talk about that in just a moment. And then the IT hardware is 3,500 less. That is enough, correct?
Yeah.
Based on previous conversations, because we still need more equipment for video? That's that next line item? It's just right under the,
Yeah, no, that's fine.
so that's enough, okay.
So 3,500?
3,500, yes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Okay, and everything else is pretty close to what it was last time. The Planning Commission, let's talk about that for a minute. The Planning Commission, since we have Mark here, I think you and I spoke about this a couple of times quickly, Mark. Do you feel like I have down here 6,500. Originally, I think we were talking 5,500, but brought it to 6,500. Do you feel that's enough?
Yep, we don't typically spend any money.
Yeah. Well, no one knows this yet, but after this renovation, I was gonna talk to the Planning Commission about maybe, thinking about the new town hall. Not that we have to rush into it, but to Barb Rizzo's point, many times, form a committee, look into it, study it, see what's best. So we can think about that in the late fall. But I think for this, it still would be okay in this budget, because it's not like we're gonna run out and spend a bunch of money on that.
Right.
Yes, yes.
You know, since we don't have the equipment to stream or borrowing equipment, if Mark doesn't, if 6,500, you're not spending it, because I know you raised it from 5,500 to 6, you know, I've gotten quite a few budgets, and it's now up to 6,500. If you don't use that, and we could get, you know, the speaker, the computer, all of that, just by having a couple extra thousand put into your budget for hardware, go from the 3,500, increase that line item, so that we'd have a little extra cushion to get all this equipment we need if you're not using it, is what I'm saying. So, something to
Yeah,
think about.
and as we know, we have the authority to take 10% of the budget and change line items, but if we want to do that on the front end, we certainly can. Mark, what are your thoughts on that? Last time you and I talked, it was 5,500. We ended up grabbing actually $3,000 from somewhere else, so I gave 1,000 extra to your line item that is of interest, that IT line item, and then I put in 1,000 extra on the mark.
I mean, it costs about $1,100 to do a full mailing, and we did a mailing or two for the solar, well, for our planning stuff. So I would sit here and say, take our budget down to 4,000. If something comes up, we'll come and see if you got money to put it back.
And we know a printer who does it a little bit cheaper.
Cheaper than 1,100?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so we'll talk about that, and we'll figure that out and come up with
You also added $1,000 to the flooding issues from 5 to 6.
Yeah, that was the third thousand I had to do something with.
I know.
It was somewhere else, but we took it from somewhere else and I split it up.
We just need to get the equipment. We need to own
Yeah.
the equipment.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Wes, we don't have that much more to buy,
Well,
right?
once you buy 2 of the items, the main live streaming thing.
You put your,
Oh, yeah. Once you buy like the live stream device and the speaker, there really isn't anything but the camera.
and so how much you think we're talking, just guessing?
A camera, I don't know, maybe like 1,000 or so.
So how much will you need for hardware?
The hardware, besides the camera, it's probably around 2,000 for the speaker system and then the live stream device.
And then you have a computer.
And then, yeah, I mean, I can still either use my computer or I'm gonna try to use the one that you have for the,
Yeah, it's a pretty old computer, right? Yeah.
I don't know, might work.
Yeah.
But we wanna make sure we're able to have the equipment that we need to live stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's important.
So then with that, you'd need every bit of 35, so maybe we will add
Yeah,
more
a
to
camera,
that.
between all that, it's about 30,000. I mean, the camera I'm using is way more than what we would need probably, but that's like at least $1,000, $2,000 what that is.
So if you had $4,000 to $5,000 in there, you'd be fine.
I know, it's
Yeah.
not much.
Yeah. Because we want the sound system, the video and live stream to really do well. I don't know how to do closed caption,
Yeah.
so I don't know if we need any other technology for something like that, because I think it's important to do that,
Okay.
to have closed caption.
Yeah, I gotta look into that.
Okay. All right. And then, okay, so Mark, you'd be good with lowering it then, okay. So we'll look at that, and Mark's gonna be, again, he's gonna be helping on a almost daily basis, come by once the renovation starts as the chairman of the planning commission to keep an eye on things here as well. So appreciate your help with that. All right, so next page, really, is just the assessor's expenses, and then it lists general assistance, capital fund, park donation, but those aren't items that are going out too much, other than general assistance a little bit. The capital fund stays the same, other than the interest that we're earning on that, and the park donation fund remains the same as well, except for interest. We have both the capital fund and park donation fund are an interest-bearing account that continues to earn interest. For example, last year, the capital fund earned $32,647.25. The park donation earned $2,577.33. Okay, so the assessor's expense, let me go through that. Last year, the staff line item was $28,100. It was originally $15,500, and then the assessor needed staff, so we approved an additional $12,600, which brought it to $28,100. Right now, this budget is proposing $25,000 for staff. And let me just go through this, because here's more of the changes than anywhere else. The next line item is IT license and support for $6,700. Now, again, keep in mind what I said earlier was the IT was paid by our line items on that first page. That's why we went down from 11 down to 5. Because now we're taking that money and we're shifting it over to the assessor's line items. And with that move, along with the hardware of $2,500, those two expenses have never been on, well, I shouldn't say ever, I don't know previous to last year, but they were not on the assessor's budget. So the assessor's picking up, what is that, $99,000 roughly of additional expenses. The advantage, the way I see it, is bringing it to the assessor's line items, is that Jane would be responsible to contract and secure her office. The assessor's office, of any office, I believe, is the most important to make sure we have high security on it. And because people's social security numbers, tax ID numbers are on there. So Jane would be responsible to call for service, and that's the way a lot of townships operate. And it used to be that way, wasn't it, Jane? Was it that way? I thought I saw that a few years ago when I did some research on it. It used to be that, and then the previous administration, for whatever reason, changed it.
And that's how almost all townships are.
Yeah, and I personally think that it's much better to have the assessor's office manage that line item, because our assessor's the one that's responsible for that office. So if the line item is on your side of the fence, we'll call it, Jane, then you're responsible for it, and you know your needs better than we know your needs. And so I was totally good with it. IT license support $6,700, IT hardware $2,500. When Jane and I talked, there's a computer that's needed. It's an old computer that breaks down, and so Jane has the ability, if she desires, to take that $2,500 and purchase a computer. Telecommunications is the third line item that's never been on the assessor's side of the fence, of $2,300. Previous year, we have been paying for Vontage, which is the phone, at $56 a month, and we've been paying for XL Broadband, which is the internet, for $117 a month. And so now again, the assessor's office will take that expense, and we're budgeting $2,300 for it. And that's a new line item on the assessor's budget. And then finally, the last, fourth line item that's never been on there, or at least last year it wasn't on there, is appeals and appraisals for $500. The office and field supplies, virtually the same, although we may have to flip-flop a few of those numbers when I just looked at it again. But the totals are about right. Office and field supplies, mileage traveled, training, and then other assessor expenses. So based on this budget, the assessor's budget would be $45,000. And I should have wrote that down. Let me just add up what expenses are on there. That the reason why the budget is higher is because we added these four line items that she's never had on her side. So we have $6,700, $2,500, $2,300, and then a new one of $500. So there's $12,000 that Jane's office, correct me if I'm wrong, Jane, that your office has never had before, that's on there now. Pardon me?
I don't have a copy of this, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I printed you one.
I never seen them, so, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh,
yeah, I thought I sent it to you, but that's all right. All right, so it's on the website. But, okay, so this is what you and I talked about, these numbers. So it's about $12,000. So last year, your budget was $36,000. Now it's $45,000. But if you add that $12,000, we're actually $3,000 under. Does that make sense? So you have $45,000 budget. 12,000 of that you've never had for expenses. So we're saving that on the township side, pushing it over to the assessor side. Make sense? Okay, open it up for questions. Go ahead, Linda.
No, I was gonna say, you had 12,600 in there for assessor's office rent. Are you taking that out of there, out of the 36,000 when you're figuring it?
No,
Right.
no, the 12,600 we approved last year.
Or one time.
Well, it's all, every line item on our budget is one time, because it has to get approved each and every year, every single line item. So we approved last year, $12,600 for additional staff. And, the assessor's office used, this past year, the assessor used roughly $20,000 in staff.
Okay, there was a balance, okay, for $36,000, that 12,600 was in there as assessor's office rent last year. $7,964.05 was not used. So, are you leaving that 12,600, you use that as your $36,000 figure, which included the 1,260? The
You have to ask Dean,
1,260.
I didn't put these figures
I'm
together.
asking,
Right, okay.
yes.
Okay, so I
And
need
you're
to
using
understand.
that $36,000, and it was, ending balance had $7,964.05 left over. It was in there to use, and it was not used. And I'll just go through. In 25-24, there was $1,184.95 left. In 24-23, and then had communications for 2,100, that was only $329 left over. In 23-24, $7,119.73 was left over. So there's amount left over, plus the fact that if you took the $36,000 and you gave a 5% increase, which is what we gave everybody across the board, and we told the residents we were only gonna have a 5% increase, taking the rent out was $1,170 increase, which would be $37,170. Thank you.
Okay, so
Well,
let me try to.
first of all, that's unfair to say there's $7,900 left over. I was provided that extra because we were holding up paying staff. Oops.
It's green.
It's not turning green though.
Probably wrong.
Am I getting it?
Good, before we get started, Jane, I'd like to clarify something to my own understanding.
Okay,
Linda,
thank you.
I just wanna make sure we're together on this. The $12,600. Well, let's back up. The $36,000 budget for the assessor last year did not include the $12,600. The $12,600, the $12,600 was given to her from the rent, right? I mean, you understand that, that's where the rent came from?
It was given for the rent, yes.
Right, okay. So that was, we now pay the rent, the township does.
Correct.
Which is also extremely common in most townships. The township's responsible to provide an office for assessor. We kind of went through that all last year. So what we did there was, we took the $12,600 and we ended up paying the rent with that.
We didn't take it back,
No, but I'm just saying, we pay the assessor's rent.
correct.
Okay, I thought you said that it's on her.
But it's still in it, that 12,600 is still in it. Whether it's the rent or extra money you gave her, that 12,600 is still in it.
Yeah, the $12,600 went into staff.
Okay.
The staff item last year, approved by the trustees, was $28,100. And so, I'll ask the assessor in a minute, unless she wants to explain it now. The staff money, Jane, would you be able to explain why you feel that the assessor's office needs that staff money?
Well,
Because I believe it
we
does.
were out of funding, we actually were holding up doing field staff, work, things like that, partway through the year. That's when the board agreed to give additional funding to the assessor's office so we could keep going, okay? The fact that it wasn't given to the assessor office, it took so long to pass through the board and get approval. It was late in the fall, okay, by the time that passed through. By then, most of our field work comes to a standstill, okay? I mean, we were still doing some things. We were doing CAD drawings and follow-ups and things like this. But a lot of it starts ending at that point, okay? We have seasonal, the bulk of our work is seasonal, okay, for field work. With that said, if we would have kept going, in other words, so the remainder of that field work ended up rolling into the new fiscal year. So we're doing the work right now that we should have done, or some of that we should have done previously, and would have gone under that previous fiscal year's staffing amounts. Additionally, and I sent this out today in detail to everybody if you read this, I explained.
At 5 o'clock.
Well, it was before 5 o'clock, but it was, yeah, well, that's when I got the information from Dean today.
Well,
You
you
didn't
don't have
send it
time
to
to
me,
look at
Ralph.
it.
I said, so we've got quad year in this fiscal year.
Is this quiet?
Well,
It's coming up, yes. So now, so we're not gonna have the funding right now, even with what you're giving me, for the quad year. And the quad year saves people money. It saves people money. Equitable assessments saves our residents money. Please explain to me what you expect out of the assessor's office with the funding you're giving me. Please explain it in detail. I would welcome that information.
Well, hang on
I
one
don't have
second.
your, I have your thing.
Yeah, hang on 1 second. It's not up to him to explain what the assessor needs. We're asking you.
But that's what you're determining.
Yeah, because that sheet that you just cited, I've seen that. You've passed that out to us.
Which
Is that the
sheet?
same one that?
Like this?
Yes. When did you distribute that?
This afternoon.
Oh, okay, that's a different one. Because you had another one last
I've
year.
got a lot of information.
Yeah, that I looked at, and
Correct.
it made a good sense to me. I thought it was well done, and I thought, it was justifiable. So, what you're saying is, you need the $25,000 that's tentatively on this budget for staff, correct?
I need more than that.
You need
is what I asked.
28,100,
Well, that was at bare minimum.
and that was bare minimum.
Correct.
And why is that again?
Because
the way this budget is right now, with pulling it back to 25,000, that means all things staying equal, you only have $4,000 more for staff right now over last year. Because you utilized 20,000 last year.
Correct.
Or a little more than that, it was
Correct.
close to 21, but
So I mean, in reality, I'll
4 or
be
5,000.
short. I will be short.
Even with
Now,
the 20.
at that point, well, assuming assuming we do our work as we're supposed to, and assuming, everything rolls out that way, we can either at that point, again, come back and ask for an increase, or we can possibly transfer line items. All that will be presented to the board at that point. If I get pushed up against the wall, that's what I do.
All right, so do you want to take just a couple minutes and explain again why you need this money for staff?
Well, and I actually asked, there's some copies on the table, please feel free. It explains about the quad year, why we need quad staff, number one, in a quad year. Number two, justifying field staff. What's the importance of that? What's the importance of office staff? We're running at a bare minimum at all times, if not even underfunded. In other words, there's no way for the office staff, 10 to 12 hours a week is enough. In other words, and in fairness, again, I'm asking because I don't understand. Ralph, you had asked me what would it take for me to go part-time? Well, it's always been the same answer. It would take more office staff or more staffing to be able to allow me not to work as many hours as I do. That's the reality. I mean, I have to do the job one way or the other. I have to do my darndest to get it done. If you don't give me the funding, you don't give me the staff, then it lays on me. And I just do the best I can with the situations that come along. I don't know, again, and then you talked about the levy, about 5%. Well, it's because we worked our tails off last year, and you know this. With new construction, you weren't stuck to the CPI limit. I earned you a ton more new construction revenue. That's a fact. That's what's giving you this extra funding and so forth, whether you're gonna spend it on AV or newsletters. That's what it came from, is those efforts.
Well, you see normally you see the EAV go up. And you said you've gone from, in 2013, it was, I forget what the figure was, but you doubled it, almost to 300,000. But all these guys, residents, have had their taxes go up this year.
Correct.
There's only a very few. So, yeah, maybe you're saying that, oh yeah, it would went up more, but it always goes up and up and up. And your figure here, this flyer, the one here says the estimated assessed value is times the assessed value times the state equalization factor. The factor is 1, so it should have stayed the same. But like, for instance, mine went from 117 to 120. But then the other factor that you don't bring into play is the S/A exemption up on the top thing. That's 1.06, and you put it in there. Sure, my taxes went from 117 up to 120, but it doesn't show when you go down because it has an asterisk on it. You put those 3 lines and there it goes to the controller's website, and then it says it doesn't exist, and that's a TIF search. We don't have TIF in Greenyard.
I didn't say anything about this, I know about it.
Well, I know, but it's on the, you say that you can figure out your taxes
Well,
like
okay,
this,
the
and you
bottom
can't.
line, here, let me explain, I'll try to explain it honestly as simply as I possibly can. First of all, the tax law is not an easy road, okay, we know that, okay, in the state of Illinois. Here's the simple formula. Your home, if you take it and you look at your market value, in other words, what can I sell it for today? If you went out and got a legitimate appraisal, okay, Dee didn't understand this. You got a legitimate appraisal, and I'm just gonna use a rough figure, I'm not saying this is what your house is worth. Let's just say it comes in at 600,000, okay, this is what the appraiser says your property is worth, okay? Take roughly 1/3 of that, which is your 33.33%, right, based on the state of Illinois. So 1/3 of that would be 200,000. That should be about what your total assessed value is. Now, I can break it down further, but that should be your total assessed value. Then you subtract any exemptions you're entitled to. So I know you're entitled to 16,000 for a senior exemption and a general homestead exemption. You subtract that 16,000 from the 200,000, that should be your total assessed value now. And that's been going up every year because our homes and our properties are increasing. That has nothing to do with me. That is the value of our homes are increasing each and every year for the last X number of years. Then you take that net assessed value that I just explained, and now you multiply it by what the township dictates and asks for in a budget. The same with the school district, the fire district, the library. That's your taxing rate. I have nothing to do with that.
You're talking tax and code.
Well, no,
The
tax
tax
code is where you live, Like,
Well,
your tax code is different
The
than.
tax rate.
The tax rate is set by the taxing bodies within your tax code.
Okay, well, for instance, mine, I forget what it is, 1804, All the taxes went down except the community health, for, Will County. That one went up. So theoretically, my taxes should have gone down. But the net AV times that S/A factor went up 1.06. Now, Monique Township's one is 1.08, so theirs went up even higher. So I mean, multiply that, and then your taxes don't go down because the rates went down, they went up.
Okay, you're also confusing, okay, you've got your base tax rate, that's your net tax rate, that's the total of all the taxing bodies that have now asked for their budget, their levy budget, right? And that comes out to your tax rate. So you're saying that's lower, but now you're confusing it because you're also talking about the equalizer that the county assigns mid-year. Okay, we always get it in the summer. And that's based on the adjustment. So for instance, and this directly affects here, if I don't fully equalize everything throughout the township in 1 year, the county comes in and based on the recent sales, whatever the most recent sales are for all of our residents, if I'm low on the overall EAV, if I'm low on the overall assessed value for the entire township, they slap a multiplier on us to even it out. Because the state of Illinois, everybody has to be equal. All counties have to be equal. So there's a fairness between counties, between townships, etc., throughout the state. That's what the equalizer is all about. So the less, for instance, when we didn't have an assessor for several years, the equalizer was sky high. You may not have felt it as much because the assessed values weren't quite as high back then, but they were sky high, and they were for a while because it took me a while to start getting that the EAV up and the equalization across the board correct. And it's still not totally there. I'm the first one to always admit it. There's a lot more work to do, but that takes staffing. It takes hours and it takes staffing. That's what the quad year is all about. It's about equalization. When I can't do my job, we're gonna get hit with a equalizer during the summer. That's just a fact of life. It's not anything I'm doing. It's the way the tax works in the state
So
of
when's
Illinois.
the quad year actually start?
It's next spring.
Pardon me?
It's next spring. It's for the 2027 tax year, and and remember, and I know I've tried to explain this to you too, there's tax cycles. In the spring, there is a cycle, it's called the township level. That's what we refer to it as, assessors. Between about mid-January to the beginning of June is the only time in theory I am allowed to make certain types of adjustments and add new construction. So I work my tail off during the spring of, if that makes sense, late winter through spring and up to the beginning of summer. That's what brings in the bulk of our revenue. That's where I'm justifying our revenue to come in. That is my quad year to provide equalization next spring. What happened years ago, you were on the board and because you didn't pass the budget, just like this board, until June 15th or whatever it was. You said, well, yeah, you're gonna give me quad staffing. It didn't matter. I'm done with the quad by then. So it's gonna fall into this year's budget, if this makes sense, because if you're not gonna vote on the budget next year until June, I'm done. Doesn't matter.
Okay, so of all the years, this is the year that you feel you need the most staff.
Correct, so I was
Because of the
actually,
quad.
yes,
That makes good sense to me. We could talk more about it. It's 8:30, we'll entertain this for a little bit longer, but, so you need the staff, and I want everyone to be aware of this. If we took out those expenses that we just put on your side of the fence and approved the budget that's before us now, the assessor's budget would have actually decreased by $3,000. It didn't increase, it decreases by $3,000. So if we went back to $28,100 for staff like it was last year, and you're saying we need that this year in the assessor's office, it would be the same. But this is saying 25, we want 3,000 less. So I just want everybody to be aware of that. So we have our assessor that is saying that she needs additional staff. How likely, Jane, is it for you to hire staff? I know in the past, it's
tough.
hard to get staff.
It's a tough road. I can't just, you know, it's not McDonald's.
Yeah.
I can't just, and I'm not insulting anybody who works at McDonald's, please forgive me.
No,
But, it takes skill. I mean, you know, even when I have a CIAO qualified person, it still takes years to get up to par, to have, there is so much to this. And, you know, every month, we're changing legislation. I have to study the laws constantly, and what's changing, at least as far as the property tax law. You know, that's why I have constant meetings at the county, and with the county assessors, and, you know, I'm required to go to all this continuing education. There's a reason behind that.
The current staff that you had up to this point, up to the previous fiscal year, do you still have that staff in your office at this point?
I have one part-time person, very part-time person. I'm not sure.
Well, what I'm saying is from a dollar and cents perspective. Do you feel like you would expense the same amount as last year? Like last year it was whatever, 21,000?
For the quad, depending on what happened here, and I was frankly waiting to see what the board would do, I was actually going to try to look into somebody for the quad on a seasonal basis that I could hire for the quad. But they're gonna have to come in with a full assessment background, because they have to help me assess. And that's a tough
You've been working
job.
on that to make that a reality?
I will, depending on money, depending on dollars and cents. I don't know if I've got it. I'm not gonna spin my wheels and spend a ton of my time and be shot down anyway, which is the way it looked like it was going anyway.
Well,
So,
don't need to say
well,
that. I mean, that's what the
that's
discussion is.
what's being done.
That's what no, just that, the trustees are responsible to ask questions regarding money. That's their job. So that's a good thing. So, any other questions, specific questions on that?
This return to 0, or go back to 15.5 next year. The slip. If the money is only temporary for the quad year, then it could go back to.
Well, last year, the previous fiscal year, it wasn't the quad year, and the expense was $20,000.
We're growing by leaps and bounds, Ralph, that's the bottom line. We have a ton of new construction. That's a lot of time and a lot of effort.
I've noticed a lot of farm property going up too. They had their farm exemptions removed. Who did that?
I did along with the county. County has to approve it all.
Why did you remove farm?
Because there's a ton of properties out here, that's the reality, and it's not fair to you or I or anybody else, or anybody. If you've got people wrong, that have the wrong property classification, okay, they have the wrong property classification. If there's a residential only, that's residential land with a residential home on it, that's one property class. Then you've got a residential home with some residential land and some farmland. That's another property class. What happened is, years ago, everybody's backyard that had even 2.5, 5 acres, whatever, their backyards and all that were all being farmed. That's not the case anymore. They may still be sitting on that 2.5 acres or that 5 acres. They're not farming it anymore. It's gone. Their classification had to get changed. We're still working on that. Also, there's a ton of new construction, so think about this, in rural areas. So now, this farmland is broken up. I'm constantly doing mapping changes. They take 20 acres, they split it up into maybe 4 or 5s, okay? They're not farming that property anymore. Those aren't farmers that are buying that property. Those are residential people coming in from Calumet City and everywhere else and buying that land, and they're using it for residential use. They're not farming it, or the vast majority of them aren't. I'm not saying some of them might be, but the vast majority. So the property classes are going to increase on a residential basis and are going to decrease as far as who's farming. And it has to be fair. If you're not farming, you're not farming.
How do you determine if, say,
The-
one
well-
property, say it's, say they used to have like say bees, and, now they don't have bees, you actually go to the property, check the hives and stuff, and.
Sometimes it all depends.
You just-
It all
Area
depends.
or-
It all depends. The best way I can tell you, go to the SOA website, please. On there, there's a whole area under preferential farming practices and qualifications. Please read through that. It's about 25 pages though, I'll warn you. It's extensive. There's all variety types of farming and conservation, and it all gets classified differently in the tax law.
So, one last question, if you pull the farming exemption, what do they have to do to get it back on? have
They
to
just
go-
requalify, they just sign back up and requalify. They have to be able to prove that they're truly
They
farming.
have to go through the appeals,
No, they just have to put in an application again.
so it goes to.
Goes to
farming.
the county, the county's going to ask them for a whole series of different things, including productivity. You gotta show, you have to be able to prove productivity. In other words, are you making money at this? Are you using it? Do you have actual production of crops? Or maybe you're renting out you could get it if you took in other horses, okay, in your
No,
barn.
we're not going that route at all.
Well, okay, fair enough, that's not I'm just giving you an example though. If you have a barn or whatever you might call it. If you took in other people's horses and you charged them, and you have invoices showing that you're charging them for renting out that stall, so to speak, you could qualify.
Okay, I want to be sensitive to the residents here. I know you're all super polite. If you have to leave before we conclude, please do. You're welcome to stay through the whole meeting. We're going to be wrapping it up. I do want to point out that I do have the actual number. The staff that the assessor's office expended past year is $20,438.50. The tentative proposed is $25,000. Correct me if I'm wrong, the assessor would prefer $28,100, which would make it exactly the same as last year. Just some food for thought. We'll have to visit this throughout the next 4 weeks and come back with a budget and then vote on it next month. Any other questions or comments for, yes, Linda?
There was $7,964.05 that was left over. We are taking that away, that's the $36,000. So that could be used for the quad. And we asked straight across the board 5%. When Jim saves us money and gets something at a better price, we don't give that money back to Jim. It stays in the township fund, and it's an advantage that the township has. So going, for me, I think approving 5% across the board and giving $37,170 is exactly what I've told the residents. It's 5% across the board. That's what our levy, we levy for 5%. If the assessor does all this work, which is what she does, then it's to the advantage of the township to have extra money. And it shouldn't be just given out. Thank you.
Just for
Question, for clarity from your question, are you including the IT items? Are you saying that she should cover that with
Right
that
here.
8,000?
Right here. I put them right in there.
Okay. And then she only has.
She gives this plus the 8,000 she had left over. That's it. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a comment regarding that directly for what Belinda said. I do not even see a 5% increase for the assessor based on what is being said. The assessor's budget last year was $36,000. Again, if you take out that assessor's, or the IT line items that were not there last year, so you gotta kind of eliminate those. You can't include that in the total, because they weren't there last year. And not only that, that amount of money the township is saving, so to speak, in giving that expense to the assessor. So you could argue that there's no increase for the assessor. As a matter of fact, over the last fiscal year, it is going down $3,100 if we voted for the budget that we have right now. It's down $3,100. It's not even a 5% increase. So, and I'll just share this as my own philosophy before I was even in government. Just because there's money left over in a budget doesn't automatically mean you take that money away. If you do that, that encourages, in my view, irresponsible spending. Because if a body feels that if I don't spend it, I lose it, they're gonna figure out a way to spend it. And to me, that's irresponsible. So let's just say the assessor left $7,000 on the table with the staff. She gave us her reasons why she did. They were because she got the money late, it's hard to find help, things, it kind of passed the busy season, all those reasons. So I don't want to just take that money and say, no, we got to take that 7 and bring it somewhere else now. Because we have our assessor saying she still needs that money, especially this year, because of the quad. That's even more of a reason. So if another 7,000 was left over next year, maybe we go as a board, you know what? Maybe we do need to reevaluate this. Maybe 2 years goes by, maybe 3 years goes by. And we go, you know what, maybe we should lower this budget. But I'm just not one for automatically just lowering the budget because someone didn't spend it in the line item. Again, not to be redundant, it promotes irresponsible spending in my view. And I've seen it time and time again. So the other nice thing is, personally, I like when money's left over in a budget. My own personal home budget, I love it when I didn't spend everything I budgeted. It's not like I'm gonna put that money in our pockets. Even as a township as a whole, we had money left over. We didn't just strip that money away. So we have to ask, why does the assessor need this money? Jane, you gave us the reason. I've studied it as best I can in the time that I have to study it. I trust your judgment, and personally, I don't have a problem with the 25. I was okay with the 28-1 because we're going into a quad year. You want to hire more staff, and that's about as simple as it is. I don't even consider that other money because that money we're expending on her side of the fence. It's irrelevant. Matter of fact, we're getting off the responsibility of securing your office, Jane. I don't want the responsibility to secure your office. I'd rather have that be your responsibility because you know your own needs. So that being said, we can entertain a few more thoughts and then we'll conclude this subject. I don't have a supervisor's report. I know I want to hear from Jim, his report, and then we could have a public comment soon after that and adjourn the meeting soon. But again, if someone does have to leave, please do. Any other questions regarding the assessor line items?
Yeah, I'm kind of, if Jane's got a need, I understand that, I understand her need for, needing extra money for IT, that makes sense to me. I think, to me though, the one thing I kind of just, I don't feel like the EAD is the best representation of like progress, I guess. It helps, but like, for our sake of understanding that, hey, we gave her money and it resulted in more production or more, that giving her the money was helpful. it would be nice to see, like, I don't know how many homes you assess on a yearly basis. If we were to see that number and then we see it go up in the next year, I think that would be helpful. I don't know if that's a figure that's easy to pull, Jane, at all, but just like how many homes would be assessed on an average year or something, like just so we have an idea.
I can pull it, but it's still gonna be skewed numbers to you, unless you understand what I do every day, because there's all types of assessments.
Right.
So you have no idea if I'm working an assessment on one property with mapping and it may take me several hours, or am I just making a quick change to something, which is, you know, you can't judge it every time, but I can pull out numbers, but you're just gonna make assumptions
Yeah,
on
well,
that.
and I'm not saying like those numbers would change my decision now, it's more of like next year we'd be able to reflect and say, oh.
But again,
we
even next
gave
year, I'm
her-
just saying, you're not gonna understand what's involved with that, but I can do it.
Okay, yeah, and that's just for our sake and everybody as the.
And don't forget, I really welcome you, please read the information I've been
Yeah.
providing,
Yeah,
because it doesn't seem like anybody's reading that valuable information. And please attend the TOI webinars and educational. It's really necessary that the board understands
yeah.
some of that
Well,
information.
and I don't think just for our sake too, but for the township's sake, so that anybody can understand it more easily. If they could see, oh, well, we gave her, and we increased her budget, and it resulted in, here's some proof, you know, like, other than showing the EAB, I think other numbers like that might be more helpful for us.
I agree, but I think you'd have better feedback to me too, from a budget standpoint, if you were more versed and more educated.
For sure, for
On
sure. Yeah,
the taxing system.
yeah.
Thank you.
I just,
Is this paper that you gave us last month, is that a helpful paper? It's assessor report from Grand Township meeting, April 13th. New statistics not previously shared at our township meetings. That has some information on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Total number of exemptions, 2,109. Are you familiar with that paper? Is that a helpful one for what?
It could be. I mean, again, there's so many avenues I could produce statistics with.
All right.
And it's just a matter of how you interpret that.
Yes, Linda?
and I just wanna go on the record of saying, we're not taking anything away from her. That 7,000 isn't being taken away. We were still working with 36,000, 5%, and then the amount. I just want that on record. Thank you.
What about the 12.6? That
It's
was.
in there, it's added in there. You would have looked at.
Well,
the
no,
spreadsheet.
you,
The
we're
12.
taking away if we pass the current budget before us, because the staff line item, everything else stayed the same. The staff line item was 28,100 last year. If we passed what I just presented, it'd be 25,000. So that's what's being taken away. I understand what you're saying about the 7. You're not taking it away, you're,
They're adding the staff.
pardon me?
You had the 7,000 that was left over.
It is.
To the staff.
That's already in
That's it.
there.
So
That's
that's
part of it.
36,000, if you gave her 5%, it would be 37,174, it was 170. So, that's a lot of discussion probably.
Yeah, no, it's math that is not, it's not adding up. The bottom line is, the $3,000 is coming off the assessor's budget over last year. That's the top number right there. So yes, you left 7,000 on the table, it stays in your budget so that you can expend it this year during the quiet season. That's all we're saying. So the question is, it really boils down to this simple. Does the assessor need 25,000, 15,000, 28,000? What is the right number that the assessor's office needs in her staff line item to work in the best interest of our township? That's the question. The assessor just, correct me if I'm wrong, Jane, you said 28.1? I put down 25 and sent it over to the trustees. for
Well, why don't you
review.
ask the trustees what they think?
Well, not quite yet. I'm just saying, I'm addressing the real crux of the question that we're answering. So, that being said, I'm ready to conclude this discussion. Remember with the please, you guys could leave, okay? We don't have locked doors here. Wait until next month. We're gonna be like the US Congress. We'll be here till 2 in the morning trying to vote on a budget.
If I could leave,
No, I'm joking. Yes, everyone could leave. All right, so, that being said, we've got the road commissioners. Again, I don't have a report. Supervisor, do you trustees have a report? Any trustees? Collector have a report? Okay, Jim?
Right now, the crews, they're just working on, we're kind of switching over to the summer, so with the rain, it's been a little bit tough getting the dirt work done, but pretty much potholes, culverts, ditch work, like I said, and then we'll start mowing the ditches. So just, you're driving around, and there's not a lot of people here, but they're watching. Just watch out for the guys on the mowers. It's not easy going down the country roads with the mowers and dodging mailboxes and cars that come by, so if you can be courteous to them, that's nice. Sheer Road, there's no change in that bridge. I'm still waiting for deconstruction to receive that contract, but they will not start until the box beams are being built. So once those beams are built, they're scheduled for production, then they'll start the bridge. And they're saying about 6 weeks for construction, which is probably accurate. Let's see here. And then the other thing I was just going to talk briefly about is, you probably heard me talk about, like, we have an aging fleet for the road district. So I've been working on trying to update that and do certain things. I did order a truck. I got to sign the contract for it. They just finalized the numbers, so I'll probably do that this week. It's going to be about $308,000, which sounds like a lot, but I was expecting $350,000. That's what the other road districts are paying, all $350,000. So very happy with that. I've saved probably for 3.5 budgets for this truck, so I won't have enough to pay it off by the time it comes. So what I was alluding to before is, in the past, I brought the board up to date with the aging fleet that we have. There's people that can attest to that. We're still driving trucks frontline that are 1995. That's a frontline truck for Green Garden Township, which I think that's crazy, but that's what we have to do. Other townships will forgive debts to the road districts. That's just kind of a growing pain as far as shifting money to the roads. That once the township grows, for instance, like Aurora, their road district shifts the money because they're wealthy now with their mowing vacant lots and doing things like that. There's not a lot of roads to take over. They'll give money to the food pantry. I brought the board up to this so they know what's going on. So if they want to forgive the debt, that would be great. I'm not going to sit there and beg for the money, but it's just what you think is fiscally responsible for the township is what I'm asking. But if they didn't, it would be very helpful. I think I'm maybe about $20,000 to $30,000 short on my truck if they don't forget that debt. I'll pay the $40,000 and then just give me another loan. That way I don't have to do financing charges, which would be beneficial for me, which means it's beneficial for the township. So whatever we do, I just want to work together on getting this taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim, especially regarding the $40,000 that is owed by the road district to the township?
Yeah. When are you set to be done paying that off? This year?
Yeah, this fiscal year, this is the last payment I have. And it shouldn't matter. It does to me personally because I got stuck with a debt that wasn't paid at the right time. It was delayed a little bit, so I have to make doubled up payments. Regardless, I accepted the job, so I can do it. It's just that basically, a debt that I inherited, I guess. But either way, I'm prepared to pay the debt, and just if that doesn't, if you guys decide that you don't want to forgive the debt, then if we can, like I said, work together, just give me another loan for, it's probably gonna be something like $40,000, and I'd like to have that for probably like 2 years, I'm gonna pay it off quick, because I'm probably gonna try and get another truck in the next 3 to 4 years, to try and get this whole fleet built up. My goal is, so the next road commissioner comes in, he's just gonna say, every 5 years, or every 4.5 years, or every 6 years, I buy a truck, and I budget for it every year, instead of being someone like, I have a 1995 Frontline truck, and the newest truck is 2010. It's just, I just don't think that's a great situation for providing services to the people.
Thanks, Jim.
And one last thing, really, if you guys have any questions about the budget, for mine, give me a phone call. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. It is a farming season right now, so I'm a little busy planting, but, I do have time with rain days and things like that, so we can definitely have a conversation.
Thank you. Any other questions for the road district? Any comments regarding the truck? Because that we'll have to talk about and vote on that next month as well. You guys good with that, or you want to think about it, or? You good with it? Not yet.
We haven't caught it yet.
Did you say you're good with it, Wes? You're good with forgiving that, or no? No, we're not voting on it. So you want time to think about it? Okay. All right. Very good. Collector's report?
Yeah, I just have one. Oh, just a second, huh?
Oh, I'm sorry, assessor's report first. You were next in line there, but on the agenda, the clerk corrected the order there.
It's fine, I'll save some of this for next month. There is a few handouts in the back, one of which is with the farm stuff that explains it all. And there's also exemption event list back there, okay, you might want to grab. I'll save everything else, it can wait till next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Collector?
All right, just one thing. I'd like to provide an update regarding the Union Cemetery discussion held at our January, February meetings. I've been notified by the supervisor via an email on the 28th of April, 2026, that, quote, Union Cemetery is staying as a 501c3, unquote. Therefore, the township is no longer pursuing the transfer of the cemetery into the township. Union Cemetery will continue to be maintained by the 501c3 entity as it has been in the past. I am only reporting this to ensure transparency and to close the public record on this issue.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike, and that is accurate. The 501c3 will continue to care for the Union Cemetery, so we don't have, as a township, we don't have it in the budget, and it'll continue the way it's been. Trustees, any reports? I don't have a report, so public comment is for 2 minutes. If anyone would like to comment, if you please raise your hand, and then Wes will give you the microphone. Okay, no comments. Hang on, please. Please don't rush the adjournment. It drives me a little batty when you guys do that. I feel like these guys are gonna run out on me. Okay, because I always like to thank everybody for coming, and we'll just keep working together. Everything's good. We'll keep at it. Thanks for coming. Do we have a motion? We're concluding the business. Do we have a motion to adjourn? No motion? Let us stay here. Wes?
I was wondering who's cooking breakfast.
Okay. Do you have a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn by Trustee West. Do we have a second for that motion? Second by Ralph. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Shut the lights, turn it on.
It'll come right out.
Get out there like